Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So lots of test driving going on today, guys. I took this one here for a road test, about 3 miles. I'll come back to that. And I went ahead and made my first little parking lot test drive with this one. I'll come back to that as well. But yeah, today, good day for test driving blue cars, apparently. So, why don't we talk about this first? So this was an idea that Rafa's had for a long time on this bus, and that was to put some kind of logo or something on the back of the bus related to the engine. And if you follow the channel, you know that this has this relatively rare Monaro Motors dual side draft SU carburetor kit, which is from Australia. The bus is an Australian right-hand drive combi, so it made sense. So yeah, we worked with our guy that does our pinstriping. Mentioned him yesterday and have mentioned him over the years here, Kent Garcia. And yeah, so we went ahead and went for it, and it looks amazing. Looks appropriately 50s looking with the little star details on there. And we wanted to go with a color that was kind of subtle. Like when you look at the back of the bus, it doesn't just like scream at you. It almost like fades into the bus. But then if you're kind of looking closer, then you kind of notice it. You probably notice it a little bit more if the bus was in full sun. But anyway, there you go. Nice little subtle detail there. And the colors, we kind of picked the colors kind of to go roughly with that, the lettering on the Fram filter, which is kind of a dark gold or a very burnt orange or something. So that was kind of what we were aiming for. And again, it goes, so the logo on there goes really good with the motor, and those colors also, of course, go good with blue. It just kind of helps kind of tie somewhat the outside of the bus to the motor as far as the colors and stuff. I don't know if I showed you guys this or not. So this is the correct looking badge for the battery that this would have come from. They were made by Varta. And I actually found somebody making these badges. There's the guys in Argentina, Split Parts Unlimited, make one, but I've never had any luck buying anything from those guys. I send them emails and they're pretty much ignored, or they reply and then I say, hey, let me know how much and so on, and then they never reply to that. I don't know, guys. I pretty much have stopped trying to buy anything from those guys. But yeah, someone in the US, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name. If somebody really wants to know, I can look it up. He's actually 3D printing these, and he's doing a really nice job. You would have to look very close with really good lighting to tell that it was 3D printed. So there you go, nice little detail. And again, the yellow kind of goes nice with the orange and the yellow plug wires and yellow Bosch badge and stuff like that. So yeah, lots of nice little colors going on here in the engine compartment. And then again, kind of tied that into the script on the deck lid too. So guys, you know, we are just crazy here for details. So subtle details, we don't like stuff that's like loud or obnoxious, but yeah, subtle details, that's kind of our deal. Anyway, so if you follow the channel, you know that I had a couple of brake master cylinders lately from, they were German, they were ATE brand. Thank you to, sorry, I don't remember the screen name of whoever pointed out that it was actually pronounced ATE. I think I was saying ATE because I didn't know, and ATE is in fact an acronym for whatever it's for. But anyway, so yeah, but the reason I'm bringing that up is that Kent, which of course, if you saw yesterday's video, you know that he put this pinstripe on. Well, not this pinstripe. He put on a pinstripe with some new paint that he bought, and it didn't cure, guys. This morning you could touch it with your finger, and so this was after about 24 hours, and it was still tacky and would leave like paint residue on your finger. So yeah, kind of like my run-in with those German master cylinders. Kent had to redo it, and he didn't charge me to redo it because obviously it wasn't my fault. So yeah, kind of the same thing, you know, when you run a small business like that, sometimes you have to do things twice due to no fault of your own. And so Kent, of course, stepped up
and basically like erased the old stripe and then put on a new one with some paint that he knew was good. So yeah, sucks for him, but I feel his pain because it's happened to me twice just in the last, I don't know, couple weeks or so, as far as having to replace defective parts. Kind of the same thing. So Rafa did that, and he replaced the screws on the front door strikers to the correct looking ones. And he actually made a spacer for one of the strikers. I don't remember what, because it wasn't quite grabbing correctly. So I made a little sheet metal spacer to get that alignment better. And that was about what he did on this bus. So why don't we change gears now and talk about this guy here, this 66 bus. Hold on one second. Okay, so on the 66 bus, Rafa did go ahead and start the process of rewiring it. I mentioned before it had some burnt wires in it and some pretty sketchy looking wiring. The harness that goes to the back of the bus seems okay, but I think Rafa is going to examine it a little bit more. That one is really a pain in the butt to replace, so if it looks okay, we'll probably just leave it. But the stuff up in front is relatively easy to replace, and it looked terrible, and there were signs that some wires had been burnt and so on, and it was all gross there on the inside front of the nose and stuff like that. So definitely a good decision to go ahead and strip all that out and redo it. The owner had stated that the windshield wipers weren't working, but I'm not 100% sure. Rafa tested them and they actually work. So great for him. They work, and we don't need to rack up any more labor to fix them because they work. So here's the other thing though that Rafa found when he was crawling around under the bus, is that this bus has massive brake issues. So at least one or two of the wheels, when you look at the wheel from the back, like if you're under the car, he can see like brake fluid having like spun out from, you guys know what I'm talking about. It drips on the wheel, but the wheel's spinning and it kind of like flings outward. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so signs on at least a couple or few of the wheels that the brake wheel cylinders were leaking. Also signs that the master cylinder is leaking. And get this, guys, one of the hard lines up underneath here had been being rubbed on by the clutch cable. And so that hard line was wore like almost all the way through. In fact, I think Rafa said it was even like weeping a little bit at that location where the clutch cable had been essentially like rubbing on it and wearing its way through. So it was probably just a matter of time before this car had a fairly catastrophic brake failure. The other thing is the hard line that runs all the way to the back of the bus has a pretty massive kink somewhere along its length. So, we don't really mess around when it comes to brakes. So we're pretty much going to replace the entire brake system. The shoes, even if they're new, they're all, I'm pretty much guaranteeing, going to be soaked in brake fluid. So it's getting new shoes, it's getting new wheel cylinders, it's getting new brake hardware. It's going to get new hard lines, new master cylinder. We're pretty much replacing everything from the brake system, with the exception of like the little bar and the lever on the back e-brake. You can pretty much always use those. But other than those parts, pretty much the entire brake system is going to be replaced. So it's actually a massive job on these buses, running the hard lines, especially on an assembled bus, because it's just, if you've never done hard lines on a bus before, consider yourself lucky. It is not a fun job at all. It pretty much sucks, actually. It's worse than doing it on like a Beetle or any other air-cooled Volkswagen that I know of. So yeah, we're gonna do that. But again, safety first. And yeah, the brakes on this thing are just I hate to say it, pretty much a disaster waiting to happen. So that's pretty much was Rafa's day, between the few things he did on the Barndoor and then this one. The other relatively minor thing he did was he removed the complete steering column and steering assembly from the white 67 Beetle. the bodywork, metal and bodywork on that thing's really coming along, and so it's pretty much time to remove that and just get all that out of the way so we can do final prep in the areas that are kind of impacted by the steering column. So that was pretty much Rafa's day. So Renee actually today replaced the rear luggage tray on that Beetle. It was all rusted out. So that's the area kind of behind the back seat, and between the back seat and the firewall, there's that flat area down there where you could put, suitcases or whatever. Pretty much totally rotted out. So we bought a new piece of that sheet metal from Wolfsburg West, and Renee almost finished putting it in today. So that was pretty much Renee's day. Santiago is continuing to work on the leather seats for that pup right there. And that pretty much leaves me. So I continued to work on this little bad boy here, and just still doing a lot of little odds and ends on it. I hooked up the fuel line in the back. I got the little grommet where the fuel line comes out of the frame horn, so put that in, finish hooking up the fuel line back here, put the fuel sender in up here. I feel like there was some other little things. Pretty much connected the battery and started it, put a little bit of fuel in it, probably just, I don't know, a gallon or two. Started it, and it was, of course, running great because, we already dynoed this motor and did some tuning on it and stuff like that. So, yeah, the motor was good. And I went ahead and just took it for my little first drive that I always do, which is a parking lot drive. And so, again, we kind of go down the length of our building, across the front of our building, and then there's a big, more or less square parking lot kind of at the next set of buildings over there. So the whole round trip is maybe a quarter mile or so. And there's enough straightaway where you can get it into like second gear. And I'll tell you what, guys, this little thing is a freaking beast. I will tell you. So again, if you're new around here, this is a 1699cc kind of 40 horse, although it has later single port heads on it, and mild cam, a little bit of compression, dual Cadron style carburetors, and some other little tricks. 019 distributor. This thing made, what was it? I think 92 horsepower and 115 foot-pounds of torque. So yeah, this little thing is a little monster, and it really wants to move this car. So again, I just drove it in a parking lot, so I couldn't go too crazy as far as, mashing the throttle and going through all the gears. But yeah, you can tell this thing wants to go. So very excited to get it out on kind of the open road and give it a good test. I did also, to the extent I could in a parking lot, step on the brakes pretty hard. And again, we did upgrade this one to front disc brakes, and it's got a huge master cylinder from Air-Cooled Vintage Works. Back more or less stock drum brakes, but everything new. The brakes on this thing feel bitchin', guys. I didn't feel like without too much effort, I was able to get the front tires to start kind of squealing against the pavement. So yeah, super good brakes on here from what I can tell. And so yeah, that was very fun, guys. Took it on its first little mini drive. So maybe tomorrow I'll take it out on the open road and make my first little loop, which is about 3 miles. And front bumper will probably go on tomorrow. He does want a retro sound radio, so I ordered that today. That'll be coming realistically, probably get it like Monday or so. We'll see. May have it by the end of the week. But yeah, so radio, front bumper, and there's not a heck of a lot left to do on this thing, guys, other than those things I just mentioned and some miles, some confidence miles. Speaking of my little 3 mile loop, I took this one on that today, and it did good, guys. This thing drives so smooth. And this little mini monster motor that we built feels so good. Again, this one is a 1500cc, 36 horse, and it made, I think, 65 horsepower and 104 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. It's a beast for a 36 horse based motor. And again, with the fairly rare Monaro dual SU carburetors on it and so on and so forth. This thing is super smooth, pulls very linear, just feels amazing, guys. The brakes feel amazing. Again, if you're new here, we put 356B brakes on it. And yeah, just really a pleasure to drive, guys, this thing. So yeah, oh, if I forgot, I don't remember if I mentioned or not, I did also do a front end alignment on this one and then tightened everything up on the front. I still may need to straighten the steering wheel out, but alignment's done and it's good. About an 1/8 inch toe in. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for today. Very, very busy day and lots of fun test driving cars and getting cars. These two are both pretty much very near the finish line. This one should be minus some more miles. This one is, I don't know, depending on when the radio comes in, maybe a couple weeks out or so, by the time I put some more miles on it and stuff. So yeah, guys, we like to keep projects moving around here. So that is that. So thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.